How you doing? Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me at all right, or is it good? Okay, good, good, good. All right, so I will say you are my first ever Zoom presentation, so we'll see how this goes for me. But like you said, I'm here to talk a little bit about just your safety and what you're doing and going into homes and interacting with folks around you. So I do have a chat up. If you do have a question, feel free to put that in there. Um, but I will say that I I want to make sure that you know it's this information I'm going to give you is good no matter where you are, not just in the workplace. So these are just good guidelines to have, good guidelines to use when you're doing your not only your job, but when you're out and about on your own. So just a little background on myself. I'm a 25-year veteran of the Highway Patrol. Been in Troop A, which encompasses the Kansas City area, now probably about 10 years. And I spent most of my time in St. Louis, but I've been a part of several critical incidents, been a part of several other investigations dealing with homicides and things like that. So, what information I'm going to give you is hopefully something that you feel like you can utilize and will be useful for you. So, uh, like I said, feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to do anything like that, and I'll try and find those in the in the chat. But again, I really want this to be as interactive as possible. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. All right. So just why is this not? There we go. All right. So when we're talking about citizen safety, we are talking about things for what you to consider self-defense versus common sense, and most physical encounters are limited by using good common sense and trusting your instincts. A lot of that is you just knowing something doesn't feel right, and you're able to get out of that situation. So why is it important? So I'm not trying to scare you, not trying to uh, make you paranoid. But every 24 seconds in the U.S., a violent crime is committed. Every 17 minutes, a violent crime occurs in Missouri. So that just highlights, the importance of just being aware of our own personal safety. So one murder occurs every 21 hours, forcible rape every 5 hours, one robbery every hour, aggravated assault every 26 minutes. So when you're thinking about these things, living in the Kansas City area, there is, we already have the most homicides that we've had in any one given year. So we we know it's out there. We know things are taking place. So we want to make sure that we're aware of our surroundings and aware of what we're doing. So just want anything, if you don't think of anything or don't remember anything that I tell you, I want you to remember this. You don't have the attitude it won't happen to you. Don't have the attitude that because of where you live or where you work or where you're going, that it can't happen to you, because it can. And I want you to again, it's not to make you paranoid, but to make sure that you have a plan of how you're going to uh, get out of a situation, plan how you're going to be able to remove yourself from a situation if need be. So we're going to first look at vehicle considerations. There's the idea of the carjacking, which occurs not frequently, but it does occur. There's the bump and rob, where somebody has observed you, has been following you,
Well, turn it up.
bumps your car, And what typically happens is you get out, and when you get out, that's when the crime takes place. So if you are involved in a crash and you're involved in a situation where you don't feel comfortable getting out of your car, don't get out of your car. Lock your doors. Leave the area if possible. I know you don't want to leave the scene of a crash, but you can contact law enforcement, 911. You don't put yourself in a position where you feel uncomfortable, where you feel like you're putting yourself at risk. So if you are near a police department, if you are near some sort of law enforcement uh, office, then by all means use that. But you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're going to put yourself at risk of being involved in a crime. Again, it's all about being aware of where you are and what you're doing. So just want to highlight one incident we had here in the Kansas City area with Kelsey Smith. This occurred back in 2007. So just to give you a little background, so Kelsey was a teenager. She was at a local Target, and while she was shopping in Target, she didn't notice that somebody was watching her. She didn't notice that somebody was always in the aisle that she was in. So she was just doing her normal course of shopping, not really aware of her surroundings. And we have found through surveillance video that the individual that actually abducted her was following her in the store. She was in various aisles where the suspect was. The suspect could be seen clearly watching her. Kelsey, unfortunately, was not aware of this individual and aware that the individual was around her. So when she walked out of the store of Target, that's where the abduction took place, and sadly, she was killed. Her body was later located in and around the Longview Lake area. So again, it just highlights that it doesn't matter where you are, it can happen to you. It doesn't matter what city or town you live in. It doesn't matter what portion of the town you live in. It can happen. So I want you to again have that mindset that what am I going to do if? So with her, how are you different? You know, she had a cell phone with her. She was busy. She was alone. She was preoccupied, and she went along with the individual. And when I say she went along, she didn't give any resistance. You definitely don't want to put yourself in a position to be. You're already in a bad spot. Don't leave the spot you're initially in. That typically is not a good outcome. So having the ability to yell, scream, have some mace, have a whistle, be able to whistle yourself, just screaming, drawing attention to yourself, so others that are in that parking lot area can be drawn to you in order to help you. Because there's one thing that people that are committing those crimes don't want, and that's attention. And he didn't get the attention that he needed. He didn't get the attention that should have taken place. So when you're in the store and you have all those things that are going on, everybody's got stuff going on in their life, and they're focused on why they're in the store. Don't lose sight of what's around you in the store. Don't lose sight of what you're walking up to in a home or in your workplace, where you're working, where you're going, and knowing what's going on around you. You want to make sure, even though that we have all these preoccupations, that we're focused on keeping ourselves safe. And if you are alone, have that heightened sense. Because I know my wife, she's a licensed clinical social worker. And just a little background on her. Her first job was an in-home therapist in the city of St. Louis. High crime rate area where she was going, a lot of poverty where she was going. And when she would go visit the homes, she was typically going in homes or in areas that were very volatile. We're very crime ridden. So she had to make sure that, especially when she's alone, because she was doing her therapeutic work and her case management work, she had to be aware of her surroundings. She had to be aware of, I park where I park and I get into the house as quick as I can, because the people that she was visiting, they're very protective of her because they relied on her. But by the same token, she had to have an awareness of what was going on around her. And at one point, she left her car, her purse in her car. It was visible. Somebody came in, smashed the window out, and robbed it, and took the purse out of the car. So those types of things, don't put yourself in a position where those types of crimes can occur, if that makes sense. So you always want to make sure that, especially when you're alone, that you have things that are with you and readily available to use. And we'll go through and talk about those. But I wanted to highlight Kelsey's situation, because it's not like any other situation that you're probably dealing with or what you're probably doing. It's the same routine. It's the same thing. We're going into the same place, and you just don't think it can happen or what can happen. So we're talking about shopping malls. You always want to know where your car is parked. Have your keys ready when you're approaching your car, and don't be a target. Be confident. Be aware of your surroundings. And I always tell my daughter, who is she is 16 years old now, when she encounters somebody else in a parking lot, or when somebody's walking by her, make eye contact. I tell her to make eye contact with everybody that is in and around where she is, because that shows that person she's confident. That shows that person that she sees them, and it's going to make it a little bit less of a target. If you're looking down, if you're preoccupied with other things, trying to fuddle with your keys and trying to get those out, trying to find your key fob, if you're worried about those things, and you aren't worried about what is going on around you. So that's a perfect opportunity for somebody to take advantage of that. So again, we want to mitigate that and be aware of where you are and what's going on around you. So don't carry your purse opened. Make sure it is latched. Check inside and outside the vehicle before getting inside. Something seems suspicious, go back inside and contact security. That's what they're there for. If you don't feel comfortable in a situation, don't put yourself in the position of being a victim. Don't put yourself in a position of being somebody that can be taken advantage of. So that includes in your workplace. If you're going into homes and you don't feel comfortable about going in a home, by all means, take the extra step, contact the person you're going to see and say, I'm not really comfortable about the situation I'm in right now. I need to remove myself, and let's make a different appointment, or let's take a different approach as to how we're going to get there. When we're talking about looking inside and outside of your vehicle, there have been times where people break into a car and they remain in the vehicle waiting for the driver to get there. And then the carjacking occurs, or they're put in a position where they're abducted and taken somewhere else. So again, we want to make sure that we're focused on what's going on around us. And lock your doors once you're inside the car. Make sure your doors are locked so nobody else can get in. I know with my daughter, I always tell her when she's holding her keys and taking her keys, because she doesn't have the automatic lock, put those keys in a position where they could be used as a weapon for her, for defense. Have them in her fist, where she can make a fist and they're pointed out. So when she does have to strike somebody, it's going to hurt. So we want to make sure that, she's aware that there are things that you can do to make sure you're protecting yourself. So that self-protection, again, it's all about mindset. It's about having the mindset that I'm going to fight, and I'm going to fight and continue until I can free myself. I am not going to allow myself to give up. So you want to make sure you make that promise to yourself. you make sure that you're promising that you will fight and you will not quit, because when the time comes that has to happen, the more fight you put in, no matter how big you are, no matter how well versed you are at fighting, if you put up enough of a fight, that person is more than likely going to disengage and move on and run away and get away, because they see that you're going to be able to take care of yourself and you're not going to be as cooperative as what they might have thought you were going to be. So like I tell my wife is probably the most passive person that I know. She's the most loving and caring person that I know. And, it goes without saying that she doesn't want to fight anybody. She doesn't want to put herself in a position of, where she's going to have to put hands on somebody. But I've always told her that she can, if that need arises, to protect herself or protect the kids or to protect any of her friends. She can do that if she feels threatened, if she feels that the situation uh, dictates that. So, we want to make sure that, again, you have that same mindset, and that I'm going to fight if I have to, and I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue on to help myself. I'm not going to allow myself to be a victim. So for that self-protection, just giving ideas of what would be a good idea to help protect yourself. Have some mace with you if you have. If you have a small canister that you can put in your purse or on a keychain or a key ring, somewhere where you can readily access it. Make sure that you utilize those things to be able to help protect yourself. That's one thing that really, if that gets in your eyes, somebody's not going to be comfortable with continuing on their direction towards you. So they're going to be able to, you're going to be able to at least break away, get away, and get someplace safe or into your car. So whistles, like I said, if I have a whistle, carry a whistle. If you know how to whistle loudly, by all means, do it. Make as much noise as you can, because those attackers don't want the attention. They don't want you to know, or they don't want others to know something bad is happening or something nefarious is happening. Because if by chance you're still taken, they can still get a vehicle description. They can still get a description of the person that was involved. So they don't want to draw that attention to themselves. So by all means, if there's anything that you have on your person that you're carrying, such as a whistle, that's going to help you get that added extra second to move out of the way. So scream loud. If you don't know how to whistle, everybody knows how to scream. We just had our final district volleyball game last night with my daughter, and I was screaming loud, cheering loud for her. So my voice is a little hoarse today, but you know what? If you're in a situation where you feel threatened, if you're in a situation where you feel like you are at risk of being a victim, your voice is going to come back. And you make sure that you're screaming loud enough to draw attention to something, whether that's screaming, don't do this, help me, whatever that may be, or just screaming to get that attention of others in the parking lot, to get that attention of others in a neighborhood, in a place of business, whatever it is. Make sure you're drawing that attention to yourself. So guns, I'm not here to promote. I'm not here to say they aren't good. All I'm going to say is if you have a gun, if you have a concealed carry permit, or you're carrying a weapon on you, realize that can be used against you if you aren't willing to use it. So we've had officers that have been shot with their own gun during an altercation. The bad guy gets a hold of their weapon and they end up getting shot. When you are in a self-protected mode and you have a weapon on you, and you pull that weapon out and you draw that weapon towards somebody, you have to be willing to uh, complete the act. If you don't complete it, to protect yourself, sometimes just the presence of the weapon, yes, that can be a deterrent, but you may have to use it, and you have to have the mindset that if I have to use it to save myself, to protect myself from serious bodily injury or death, then then I will use it. But we definitely don't want you having something on you that you're not willing to go to that go to those links, because it can be used on you. Fingernails, that goes without saying. Those can be weapons. I know growing up, my sister had long fingernails, and we got in plenty of altercations. And it's one of those things where use those where you can, whether that's the eyes, the throat, the cheek, somewhere where somebody is able to, uh, you know, it's going to be the most effective. And anywhere in the face and the eyes, uh, you know, neck area, places like that are going to help. By all means, use your fingernails to your advantage. The other thing is when I talk to my daughter about protecting herself, or my wife about protecting herself, if the attacker can't breathe, then, or has a shortness of breath, that will give you a few seconds to maybe get away or counteract something else. So if you attack the throat, whether that's with a punch to the throat or a quick strike to the throat with an open hand, open fingers towards the throat, that's going to help you give that little advantage of getting away, those little extra seconds to move on. And like I said, when I talk to my daughter about keys, or my wife about keys, I know there's some cars that have the fob that you don't necessarily have your keys out anymore. But if you can have your keys out and you have some sort of key to put in your hand, to be able to put it in a position where the key is pointing out and is in your fist, to where if somebody is around you, you can easily strike with that key, and that becomes something to be able to protect you with. So if that makes sense, you're having it in your hand, and you're striking with the key with it pointed out, whether that's to the throat, to the face, to the groin, wherever it is, that's going to hurt when somebody does that. So that may give you that split second, that little extra advantage to get away, and to be able to get yourself out of the situation. So we're talking about home safety. Do an assessment of your home as well as other homes that you go into. Look around for signs of drug use. Look around for signs of other things that are out and about. From my understanding of when you are going into homes. So if you see a weapon out, if you see knives out, be aware of that. Be aware of things that could put you at risk at that point in time. Not saying that it can or it will be used. I'm just saying it gives you an awareness of where those things are, and awareness of that they are a part of an area where you're in. So when we're talking about your home specifically, mark your valuables with initials, take photographs of the items, and we'll kind of go through these quick because it's not necessarily applicable to what you're going to be going into, but it is applicable to your home. Take photographs of your items, record the serial numbers of any really valuable item that you have, whether that's a camera, any other electronic equipment that you want to make sure that is known, and we can put it in a system. Make sure your windows and doors are secure. Make sure the locks are working properly. And if you are going into a home, make sure, if there's a deadbolt, make sure that's not locked. You don't want to be in a position where you're in a home and you have to leave the home quickly where you can't get out of the home. And this isn't your home that I'm talking about. This is when you're going into somebody else's home. Make sure that deadbolt is unlocked so you have a quick exit and ability to get out. But if it is your home, make sure everything's working properly. Make sure those deadbolts are working properly. Make sure the locks on the windows are working properly. I know that in my home, there's one particular window that if you push it all the way down, it doesn't necessarily lock real easy. So you have to give it a little extra something to get it to lock. So you want to make sure that you're aware of those things and make sure that everything that you can to keep yourself safe, you are doing. And be smart when using the internet. It goes without saying, don't let people know you're going out somewhere alone. Don't tell people you're leaving on vacation on Facebook because there are bad guys out there watching. There are people that are quote unquote our friends on Facebook that are not our friends. I know just from my own experience, my mom and dad lived in a really nice neighborhood, and their neighbor was an alcoholic. And one evening they left. She broke into their house and she was stealing liquor. And she got so drunk at their house that she passed out in their house. So, again, it goes without saying, no matter where you are, it can happen to you. So you want to be smart when using the internet and not letting people know exactly where you are all the time. I know a friend of my sister's, her classic thing is I'm eating at whatever, Smitty's garage. I'm having a burger at Smitty's. And well, now you've just told everybody where you are and what you're doing, that you aren't home. So we want to make sure that we're being smart about that. Just continuing with the home safety for your particular home. You want to have at least a 1-inch minimum of that deadbolt. Sliding door, you want to have a brace, some wood stick maybe to put on the back of it so it's not easy to open. You really can't open it without breaking the door down or breaking the window out. Close the shades and stay away from the windows when you're scantily dressed. It kind of goes without saying, but make sure that you're away from those windows and putting yourself in a position where others will know you're home, maybe home alone. So make sure you're doing that. So when we talk about outdoor safety considerations, when you are going to a home, this can be both your home and other homes. Obviously, you're not going to be the one maintaining their bushes around their house, but you can be aware of, are these bushes able to hide somebody or hide something behind them? So always be aware of your surroundings in that respect. When I walk up to the house, are there things to the left of me or to the right of me that can be possibly concealing someone within that? Do you have a hidey key at your house? Do you have it in a position where it's a fake rock where everybody can tell, hey, that's a fake rock? And I'm sure there's probably a key in there. But do you have a key or can you leave it with a trusted neighbor or friend? The outdoor lighting and motion detectors, I think everybody is aware of, nowadays we have Ring phones, we have Nest doorbells, we have all kinds of video options that we have for motion sensing. So if you have the ability to get those things, to supply those things to your home, and it's by all means, that's something that you're going to want to do. You're going to want to put yourself in a position where you're keeping yourself safe. Do the homes that you go into have those things? Are you seeing those things? Because if you do, then you have a way of substantiating a risk or substantiating a dangerous position for yourself by falling back on, hey, I know you had a camera in there. Can I see what's going on out there? So make sure that you're utilizing those things to the best of your ability. And any outdoor signs, obviously, are going to help, whether that's a home security sign, whether you have a home security system or not. Uh, you know, if you want to put one out, that's just going to maybe give it a simple deterrent for somebody. Something like this sign where it says "Nothing inside worth dying for," with kind of a little target practice silhouette. That's going to show maybe somebody that, oh, these people may have a weapon inside that can be used against me. Uh, or if you're going to a home that has something similar to this, then going into it, they may have some sort of firearm within that home, and I need to be aware of that. So alarms, they won't make your house burglar proof, but if the siren is loud enough, it's going to deter somebody from breaking in your home. It's going to deter somebody from being from being found and wanting to be caught. So make sure that if you have an alarm, make sure it's equipped with a siren and it's out of the reach of the suspect. So have the siren and phone system independent. So if somebody cuts your phone line anymore, uh, those are no longer really utilized. There are still some systems out there that have both connected to the phone system. Nobody's using those landlines as much as they used to, but they are still out there. So other safety considerations, lighted timers, mail pickup, and these are all things that for your home. And I realize you're going into other homes that you don't have control over that, but having an answering machine if you have one, have a male voice if you are single, have a male friend record that message for you. Uh, don't let somebody in the house to make a phone call. Make it yourself. Uh, by all means, if you don't want to answer the door, don't answer the door. Uh, just make sure that you have a phone around in case somebody's just checking to make sure you're home or not. Um, but if you're going into a home, you want to make sure that as you're walking up to the home, that is the mail kind of gathered around somewhere where it can be seen? Are these people home? Are they keeping up with the area very well? Uh, you know, Make sure that you're aware of the surroundings of those homes that you're going into. So if you have a scheduled utility service, verify that. Verify that somebody's supposed to be coming to your residence. Use the people. Don't trust the chain. Don't trust that chain is going to keep somebody out. Use the people to your advantage, and use it again if you have a ring uh, or a Nest uh, doorbell. Check and see who's coming. I mean, that's what it's there for. So make sure you're utilizing those things that you can. And again, if you have a gun in the house, be careful. Be careful of where it is, but it's also gun safety for other people in your home, making sure that gun is put away properly, secured properly, only have access to an adult. If you are going into a home, like I said, that where you see a gun or see a weapon, um, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a bad thing, but you need to be aware of it. You need to make sure that you're attentive to that to keep yourself safe, because you want to make sure that nobody is trying to access that or use it as an intimidation towards you. So if you're living alone, don't put, and you're a woman, don't put your first name in the phone book. Don't have a personalized plate or something on the mailbox, that indicates that you're uh, alone. Uh, you know, I know for my wife, she when she would go into the homes, they know her name, and they don't necessarily know where she lives, but they can find out where you live if they have to. So if your name is not readily accessible, That's much better to not have that accessible in a phone book or online anywhere, to be able to completely identify and completely put together where you're living. If you come home and think your house is burglarized, leave immediately. Don't go into the house. Go to a neighbor's house. Go to a police department. Don't confront somebody. Just get out. Don't be an additional victim to what you've already been victimized of. Go to that neighbor. Just get on your cell phone and call the police. So when you're walking, you want to vary your route. I know my wife, when she was going into homes, I always impressed upon her, don't always park in the same spot if you can, or at least don't come in from the same spot. Don't walk any significant length of area. If you're going to park, make sure the house that you're going into, you can readily access it with your car, so you can readily access your car should you need to leave early or leave quickly. You want to make sure that you're very familiar with your route and very familiar with the area. So during darkness, walk in a well-lit area. If you're going into a home and we're getting daylight savings coming, so the nights are going to be, or the daylight hours are going to be less. So it may get dark around 4:30. You're going to want to make sure that you're in a well-lit area. You're going to want to make sure that you're putting yourself in a position where you can be seen and you can see other things that might put you at risk. If you can, go with somebody else. If you are in a position where you don't feel comfortable, walking to a certain home, by all means, ask somebody if they're willing to go with you. Two is always better than one, and three is always better than two. But we want to make sure that you have the mindset of I don't want to put myself in a bad position, so I feel more comfortable with somebody else. Then ask somebody, have them go with you. If you think somebody is following you or something is suspicious, trust your instinct. That's one of the things that I really wish would have occurred with Kelsey. I wish she would have been given the insight or given a little more awareness of what was going on around her. Then she wouldn't have more than likely been a victim. I'm not saying it's foolproof, but if she's aware that somebody is following her, she's aware that somebody's going down the same aisle that she is going each and every time, then she could have called security. She could have had security stop that person and then have a conversation, have a interaction with that person where she could have gotten away and gotten into her car and gotten out of the area. So again, I really, really can't emphasize enough being aware of your surroundings, being aware of what is going on around you. Trust your instincts. If you feel like something is not right, if you feel like you're going into a home, going towards a home that just doesn't feel right, trust those instincts. I mean, that's why the good Lord blessed you with those, is to be able to say, man, this just doesn't seem right. And we follow the same lines. There's been plenty of car stops where I'm on and something just doesn't feel right. Something just doesn't, the hair on the back of my neck is standing up, so to speak. And so I go about the contact a different way. And a lot of times that proves to be true. Sometimes it doesn't, but you know what? A lot of times it does. So make sure you trust those instincts. You want to carry yourself with confidence. Like I said, if you are meeting somebody, if you're seeing somebody walking in a parking lot or walking up towards the home, walking on a sidewalk, make eye contact with them. Show them that you have that confidence to make eye contact with them. I know we've been brought up to say don't talk to strangers as a kid, but and it's still valid for a kid. But for us, making that eye contact, and then having an ability to be confident and saying hello, that lets them know you see them and you're able to identify them. So make sure you're doing that. If you're alone, move to a busy place. Obviously, sometimes you can't when you're going into a home, but you know, if you are alone, make sure you take those extra precautions of trusting your instincts. Don't not putting yourself in a position where you're going to possibly be a victim. Uh, if you see somebody watching you, let them know that you see them. You know, like I said, people want to be seen, or people don't want to be seen if they're a perpetrator. So, like I said with Kelsey, I just wish she would have been given some information to say, I see you, I see that you're watching me, I see that we're in the same spot every time, and I'm going to let somebody know. You know, that would have gone a long way to keep her safe. And you know what? Don't be afraid to be rude. I know it doesn't sound right, doesn't seem right, because we're taught to be, you know, polite from a young age. But there's a time to be polite, and there's a time to be, uh, uh, and it's not even rude, but be direct. You know, I don't like what you're doing. I see that you're watching me. You know, don't be afraid to call that person out, and don't be a bad victim. Meaning that don't be a victim that is putting themselves in a position where you could have avoided something had you just been aware. Don't be like I said, these aren't foolproof recommendations, but they are recommendations that you can be used to keep you safe. So don't be a bad victim. Don't be somebody that is allowing somebody else to take advantage of you know, you thinking everything is okay, thinking nothing's going to hurt me. I'm in a good area. I'm in a good neighborhood. You know, there's certain areas around Kansas City that are just bad places. They have a lot of violent crime, but there's certain areas in Kansas City that don't be lulled into thinking that it can't happen there, because it can. So just remember the mom test. The mom test is simply, man, trust in those instincts. If it just doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right. You know, if there's one thing moms have is a good sixth sense about them, a good instinct that things aren't what they're supposed to be. So make sure that you follow up with that. And if it just doesn't seem right, it probably isn't. So follow through with being a little bit more aware. Again, don't let yourself be a victim. Don't let yourself be in a position where you can be at risk. And you know, I appreciate the time. I know it probably went a little quicker than I thought, but you know, I just want you to know it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. No matter how big you are, no matter how small you are, you can overcome a situation just by putting up a fight, just by putting up resistance towards somebody. So, you know, I really appreciate the time to be able to spend with you today. You know, if there's any questions that you have, you know, I'm more than willing to try and answer them. See if there's any up there. I don't see any, but you know, I appreciate your time. And is there anything else I can do for you?
Thank you so much, Sergeant Lowe. If anyone has a question, just unmute yourself real quick and ask it, or you can put it in the chat section. We had some great information covered that not only deals with our agencies and the safety there, but just safety. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, question, as far as it was brought up in our group that if you see a gun or a knife when you're walking into a resident's apartment, smartest thing to do is just back out.
I'm sorry, that's
Or or halfway because you've known this resident for the room is still there? What do you think?
Well, I caught a little bit of, like you broke up on just a little bit. I think the question part, was it about the gun and knife?
Yeah, if you see one when the maintenance or even management are going in to do an inspection or a work order, would you, even if you felt like you knew the resident well enough, you think the smart thing to do is just to back out of it?
Well, I think in those situations, it really depends upon how well you know that individual. How many times have you been there to know that things are going to be okay? I think a good thing that somebody just brought up, if you know them well enough, hey, can you secure that weapon? I'm just not real comfortable. Can you take that knife and put it away? I'm just not real comfortable of being in here right now. You know, it's just a matter of, and also, like I said earlier, it's a matter of knowing that weapon is there. And so if somebody's going towards it, then you already know it's there. You already have an awareness. So then you can remove yourself, or you can remove yourself from the situation. Again, there's only one thing that you're 100% in charge of in your lifetime, and that's your own personal safety. So if you don't feel comfortable, if you feel like you're putting yourself at risk, then I would suggest that maybe reschedule something or have that be part of the process of you going in. Hey, if you have any weapons, I need you to secure them. I need you to put them away. Does that make sense?
Thank you. I'm gonna bring up just another thing that we have talked about at our housing authority. When the maintenance department have talked about when they go in to do furnace filters or inspections or a work order, that especially on annual inspections where they have to go in and they have to actually check every room, light switches, those kind of things, that it's very unsettling to them, and can be downright scary that when those bedroom doors are closed, they have no idea if somebody's in there with anything, whether it's just maybe someone sleeping or maybe it's someone who, sometimes we have single females and they don't always make the best choices. And sometimes they're just put into situations themselves, even if they want to be out of them, that drug dealers take advantage of them being a single low-income female.
Right.
And we've got baby daddies that don't, they're not even legally supposed to be there. But what would you tell a maintenance worker who's going into those places, that what should they do? What would be some good things for them to do?
Well, I think again, it all goes back to that awareness. So the place you're going in, if you are going in to perform a certain task, is there an ability to maybe contact them beforehand and say, look, I'm coming in, I don't want to have anybody else in the area. I don't want anyone else in the home that as I'm going in the residence. So I don't know if that's possible for you all to do that, but I don't see a problem scheduling that to be able to making sure that they're aware, hey, I'm coming, so I don't want anybody there that shouldn't be there.
So I'm going to put Harold on the spot. He's typing some things into the chat box, and I'm not sure everybody's really reading it. So he's making some really good points. Harold, come on.
Harold.
Yeah.
What do you want to know? As a maintenance person, when I go to a unit to do an inspection or a work order, when I was doing those, I beat on the door hard. We got metal doors, they can handle it. It's loud. And if no one answers, they know you're coming, whether it's an inspection because you've got it scheduled, or it's a work order that they've already called in and they know you're allowed to come in. You know, you're giving them permission to come in when it's a work order. So if they don't answer the door, I jingle my keys, so that's still loud. I open the door, crack it, and start yelling at that point. Maintenance, you know, if you're maintenance, holler. If you're office, just housing authority, and continue to do that throughout the house until you engage someone, or until you're through all the doors that are closed, the bedrooms and such, because I've walked into bedrooms even yelling, and they're still sitting there in their bed sleeping. You know, and of course you startle them, but they knew you was coming, so they just lay back down and go to sleep. Just keep on. Don't just, I've seen some maintenance guys go in there and they, maintenance. No, I'm yelling because I don't know what they got in there. I don't know if they have a weapon, a pistol, you know, and I'm going to startle them, you know, and they're going to shoot me. So I want them to know I'm there.
Well, I think you bring up a great point that you're talking about. You're going in to perform a task, so you want the people in that apartment, that home, that business, whatever it is, to let them know who you are and what you're there for. So, you know, like you said, if they're startled, you know, there's been instances where people have been startled in their home, and then they're using that weapon towards an individual that meant them no harm. So, you know, I'm all for, if you're able to let somebody know, hey, this is the time I'm coming. This is the time that this is scheduled. If you're able to do that, there might be times where you can't, but even if you have that scheduled time to make your presence known, to make them aware that you're there to do the task that you were scheduled there to do.